So today my friends and I are going to go see Monkey Man. I'm excited to see what Dev Patel does behind the camera. I'm excited for the fact that he is behind the camera. I'm a huge Jordan Peele fan as well, so the fact that he's producing this is really, really cool. I am excited for the action. I don't know really what's going on in this movie. I know that it's a revenge story. I know that he was inspired a lot by like Korean cinema, and that's it. That's quite literally it. I'm excited to see what all the hubbub is about. I'm excited to see what he did for the action sequences because I've heard a lot about the making of the movie and all of the kind of horror stories that went down when they were trying to get this movie made. So I'm excited to see how those really unfortunate situations panned out. I'm going to go see this with my friends Maddie and Raj, and we're going to go to the AMC on 34th Street. Yeah, that's all I can really think of. I'm pretty excited. I'm a big Dev Patel stan. Love him. Love The Green Knight. One of my favies. So yeah, I'll see you guys when I'm with them. So I'm back from seeing Monkey Man. Sorry for my hair being a little insane. I just got out of the shower. Usually give it a nice little brush. So, yesterday we saw Monkey Man, and it was really good. Well, it was good. I wouldn't say really good. There are definitely some I'm a first director moments. Other than that, it was pretty good. So, I kind of want to discuss what the story's about just real quick. Dev Patel plays a young man who, he was young, his village of pretty much his entire life was slaughtered. Flash forward to now, he is moonlighting as a boxer while also working at a underground club that may have some ties to his past trauma. Right off the bat, Dev Patel's really good. That's kind of a given. I don't think that he can really do any wrong, even if he's in a bad movie. Case in point.
Bring me all your elderly!
Airbender. I should have explained further.
I feel like this was a movie that had a lot of opportunities to kind of go a little bit off the rails in terms of what could happen, what did happen. It could have gone off the rails at many times, and it didn't, which was very fresh. I'm glad that it didn't go the supernatural type route that a movie called Monkey Man, you might think it would go down. Because this is the type of movie that really takes its time with setting up a real rounded setting in order to kind of push the trajectory of the story forward. A lot of the conflict has to do with the setting, which was really, really nice. He injected also a healthy dose of politics into this, which I didn't expect at all. And it worked really well for the type of story that he was trying to tell, the way that he was trying to tell it. After a while, this main character, he enlists the help of some people. I'm not going to spoil anything like that. However, these people are victims in their own sense, and he is the reason that they are able to kind of come out of that and be something else. It had a lot of subliminal imagery. There is something in my mouth. Sorry about that. The characterization of our protagonist is actually really strong, and I was very worried that this was going to be a movie that focused more on the literal revenge rather than why the revenge is happening. I was nervous that it was going to kind of fall into that type of cliche, and it definitely doesn't, which was very, very refreshing. I think that with how little dialogue there really is, because there's dialogue, but not as much as you would think. A lot of this is very visual, which I really, really appreciated. Lots of visual communication with the audience. Some things are left up for interpretation, which I really liked, and I thought that it worked really well for the aesthetic of the story, because it's a story where as you meet people, these new kind of details about the protagonist's past come to light. I definitely think that there could have been a little bit more characterization, especially in regards to the female characters. I'm not saying that the movie looks at women in a misogynistic light, or even that Dev Patel did that. I'm just saying that I think that the female characters just could have used a little bit more characterization. However, I do think that there is a group of female characters that are incredibly strong, very inspiring, and that whole group of people in this movie really elevated it to something I genuinely didn't expect. I didn't expect this movie to have a layer under it that no one is talking about. And I'll get into that a little bit in spoilers, but no one's talking about it. And I think that it's a really important conversation to have, but we'll get to that in the spoiler section. In regards to the action was awesome. I think that some of the second unit shots were a little too shaky. I think that at some points they used lenses that were a little bit too close and the shots were really tight when the choreography wasn't forgiving for that type of shooting. I think that it should have been left a little bit wider and kept the movements a little bit smoother, but I understand also they didn't have a lot more resources than, you know, someone with like $100 million budget does, and also they were shooting in the middle of the pandemic, so I'll forgive it. The action was fast, it was brutal, it was convincing. I will say that some of the blood effects were a little bit too CG, and also they did forget to hide some things in terms of CG, like sometimes someone would get stabbed in the neck and you can see the prongs of the fork not going into their neck or something, but like little things like that. But it doesn't take away from the intensity of the action. The action stays pretty intense and pretty white knuckled through the whole thing. There were a lot of moments where I audibly made noises in the theater because of just how brutal some of the action was. There are certain moments involving a stove as well as Dev Patel's teeth. I'm gonna let you put that together. Okay. And also a thumb. If you know, you know. I was horrified for a second, and then I started dying laughing. But overall, non-spoiler talk, the movie was good. I give it a solid 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It was genuinely a great time at the movies. I definitely think that there could have been a little bit more characterization. I definitely also think that some of the shots could have used a little bit more reworking, as well as the editing. And also there were some times when I felt like this character had a hold on things a little too well. I think that towards the end, there are moments where I kind of felt like, okay, he needs some opposition here. He needs a challenge. But there are moments where you definitely get that. So overall, this was a good movie. I'm very proud of Dev Patel, even though don't know the guy, obviously. Yeah, it's a very exciting movie. The fact that someone was able to have this as their directorial debut outside of them being an actor is really exciting because it opens the doors for a lot of new directors to be able to say, look what Monkey Man did. It's in the same regards to John Wick with Chad Stahelski's career. It's very similar. The movies are not similar. Anyone who says that this movie is like John Wick, they didn't watch the movie. Now let's get into spoilers just for a hot second. The thing that I was talking about in terms of the group of women was the group of trans women, and the fact that this is a movie that has an underlying message about the acceptance of the LGBTQ as well as the trans community, especially in India. And this is something that is so unbelievably important to talk about. It's a conversation that isn't being had in junction with this movie, and I think that it's worth talking about because Dev Patel put it in there for a reason. I think that those are some of the best moments in the movie where you're getting these moments of connection, finally, where Dev Patel has met this commune of outsiders. It's people who are the LGBTQ community hiding from the political injustice in India. It's definitely not a savior type complex, which I was really worried that they were going to get into that as these moments kept on going. But they're moments that are just genuinely so inspiring and so sweet. I'm genuinely surprised no one's talked about it. This is an incredible stance on trans rights, and I'm very, very proud that Dev Patel decided to include that as an element into this movie. The way that they all come back at the end to help him, genuinely, because I think that it's the way that it's done, because if you remember, Dev Patel is fighting these guys that are surrounding him, and for a while it's this really somber, really like almost meditative type music as he's just cleaning house. And then women show up and they help him, and that's when the needle drop comes. Dev Patel tells the audience, okay, this is the moment where this movie becomes fucking awesome, and it works so hardcore, and it's a moment that made me so happy to see this type of respect and representation being given. I don't want to speak on anything else. I am not trans. I am gay. However, being trans is not my experience. Therefore, I have no right to say how things should be portrayed in media. I have no right to say who should be portraying what at all. I am just incredibly happy that Dev Patel had the forethought to include something so important and so politically fresh and nuanced into this script that could be seen as just a Macho Man type movie. And I think that it's a new element to this story that is deserved, as well as being something so unbelievably inspiring. I think that that is what this movie needed. It needed that anchor of emotion where you yourself can get behind everything and you're like, yes, I love this. This is so inspiring. This is the type of action movie that should be made. And that's how I felt about that last 30 minutes of the movie. When that needle drop hits, I literally said in my mind, okay, yes, this movie's fucking awesome. This movie rules. Because otherwise I wouldn't have thought that. I would have said this movie's good. This movie is fun. It's got some good action. But up until that point, it didn't have that emotional punch that I needed, whether it be negative or positive. The fact that it was a positive punch, but also had such a good payoff, made me so happy. So yeah, that's the big spoiler element I feel in Monkey Man. And I think that it's an element of the movie that more people should be talking about. With that, I'm going to end this out here. I really hope you enjoyed this discussion about Monkey Man. Leave some comments about what you thought about the movie, how you feel about its representation, how you feel about its action, how you feel about its direction, how you feel about Dev Patel finally getting the chance to be behind the camera. Just tell me how you feel. Be respectful. If you're not, I'll shove my foot up your ass, okay? Alrighty. Thank you for watching. I'll see you, Space Cowboy.